Very warm welcome to this year's Impact User Conference. It's like the National Day of Impact every year when we have this one. So very welcome. I will start just to tell who I am. Peter Karlsson is my name, and I'm the Business Unit Director for Impact. Really that sentence is why I'm still in this business, because I think it's really fun to meet the customer need and talk how can we use the software and how can it be working the best for you, because the value is created on your end, not on our. We have a software that supports your system, so to say, and that's important. And I hope you feel that after the day, that's what we are striving to. This conference this year is the 8th one we have. It's a new record. I think we are going down now because some people are not coming, some sickness and stuff, but still we are over 100 people. And 20 different Precast factory companies is represented here today, and around 8 consultant companies also. As you understand from my starting in English, we will go all English this year, because now we have people from Baltics, from Poland, from a lot of countries that doesn't understand Swedish that good, or Danish. So English. I hope if you have questions and you feel uncomfortable to tell them in English, don't hesitate, you can ask and we can translate and help out anyway. Little practical information. It's not so complicated here, as you understand when you arrive. The restrooms is just outside on both sides, and they also told me that you can go upstairs if you like to, if it's occupied downstairs. We have an escape here, emergency exit. There is also 2 in the other room out there, and of course where we entered. The meeting point is here. If something happens, I don't think, but you know, it's good to know. Outside there, and of course, if you have any questions during the day about any practical thing, don't hesitate to ask us. So how is the day looking then? Yes, we have been through the first part here, the registration and the breakfast now, and we are actually into the welcome speech that I'm talking right now. And then we have Desi will talk about impact design for Revit. We will have some impact production. And as you can see from Frederick, and as you can see between the different speakers, we have 5 minutes. Those 5 minutes is to change speakers, but also if you have an urgent, you can do that. But don't be away too long, because then we will start without you. And then we will have lunch, and lunch will have 1 hour, and that's of course so you can make calls and stuff, because I know in some cases you have some urgent matters that you have to take care of. After the lunch, we will go with Impact Design for AutoCAD by Nikolai. And then we have a joint presentation where Håkan and Niklas will do it together. And then we will have a speaker from that has been in Saudi Arabia for many years that will speak about his experience, Håkan Jonsson. We have Impact Life Cycle Assessments that Christopher Johnson will talk about. And after that, of course, we have a fika or a coffee break. We need to have a fika. Then we have a really interesting speech about Impact Hybrid that Thomas Gitsas will hold. And then I have some very small things to say in the end. And of course, for those that are joining for the dinner, it starts 6. But I will come back with more information about that. You have got your badges, and if you hesitate during the day about the program, you see you have that in the back side. And in the front side, you have your name, and the blue ones are the StruSoft guys. So if you have any questions, you just see a blue badge, you can ask any one of those. Otherwise, in your badge, you can also see a number and the table you have tonight for the one that is in the dinner. So on mine, it stands table 6. So if you like to connect to people that will be sitting on the same table, you can do that during the day. Okay. So we have some developers here today of Impact. We have a very long traveler from India. Kailash is here. He's developing Impact Design. And we have 3 developers from our Swedish office, Mattias, Lilja, Mikael Nilsson, and Tabe, that is also here. That you can, and of course, if you have them during the day and you have some questions to the developers, they are most happy to talk with you about that. Just attack them a little bit, they will like that. Don't hesitate. Then we have the market and sales people from Impact team here today. We have Adam from our Swedish office, Dennis Knudsen from Danish office, and we have Linus and also from our Swedish office, and Mikael Holm, our international sales manager here today. He's traveling in all the, let's say, the areas we don't cover, where we don't have many customers today. He's covering. And he is also responsible for the microphone when you have questions during the day. Then we have people also from StruSoft here today that is not directly connected to Impact. Of course, we have Alexis that's taking care of the whole thing here, our marketing coordinator. We have Dennis Christensen, our president of the vice president and our StruSoft Denmark head here. We have Paul Tate from our UK office that is also here today. Yeah, we are live broadcasting here, so everything goes live right now. So during this first speech, we don't film any in the audience. So if you don't want to be on film, tell us. Or tell Alexis, because he's handling, so he knows that you don't want to. But otherwise, we will film everything. And that's, of course, to be able to watch from home or from office. I know we have many people watching from the office place that couldn't be here. Yes, how do we develop Impact then? I would like to try a very fast presentation how we develop the system. We have, of course, different teams here of developers. Normally they are split into design, production, and project as the software is split. But there are more teams than that, but mainly like that. And they work like in 2-week sprints. That means that they get some task that should be finished within 2 weeks. During those 2 weeks, they also make branches that we test, and the reporter will test. And when they are solved, they will be checked in. Every those 2 weeks, we are staging that 2-week sprint. And I will come back how we test it later, but we stage the 2-week one. And then, as you have known, we are releasing quarterly. Of course, we are releasing with more frequency is needed, but quarterly is what we are trying to achieve. Our next release is planned to the 7th of December, so it's soon coming. And our code freeze for that one, with code freeze, we actually mean that we don't put any new things to it when we have freezed it, just to make sure that the quality is good when you get the product. And that one has already been done, 16th of November. Then how do we test it? This process we have developed now the last years, because we have been happy to get more and more users, and of course the pressure on the product has become bigger, and we have structured our test much more. So of course the first test is by the developer himself or her that makes it. Then we have the reporter that also tests it before we check it in. After that, we have the third stage where we have our test department. We have 3 guys in India that they are testing all the time. So they test it also. And then we have a general test in this 2-week version. We test general. Test that the program starts and a lot of stuff in connection to it. And then, of course, we have the quarterly release where we test general again. And some of your customers sitting here, you also have an extra stage where you test it before you put it out. So, like a 6 stages of testing, but still errors are there. But we have to help out here together to make it more and more quality to the product. But this is how we test it. How about Impact 16? We have talked about that for a long time. When we talk, we have 15 now. The difference between 15 and 16 is we change the database. And that means when we do a big change like that, we have to migrate the data inside from 15 to 16. And when we do that, we also have to do all those things that is the migrated data is connected to. We also have to lift up. And that's what we are doing right now. And as the plan is looking now, we are thinking about the release in the end of this year, like it looks now. Because we want to have high quality of the product when we release it. And as you understand, this is more important than to get the things fast, is that they work. Because we have a lot of people using the system, and if it doesn't work, you lose a lot of time. So this is the plan for the coming year. Now I will switch a little bit focus and talk a little bit more about the thing that I love to speak about, how we can improve the precast process. And this picture is not new, it's the one that I put up every year, but still I think it has relevance to talk about it. Because how can we improve it? I think very important thing is that we start early to bring up the models. Because if we have the models early, it will also make us easier to plan. And we also need to let the planning and performance phase coexist. I think you will see more and more things like that. You have to see the now, but you also have to see the future. Now and future together is very good, but they need to be able to coexist. And that we work a lot with, of course. So this is some kind of the planning and performance phase in very overview. So today I will talk a little bit about the number 1 in the sequence here, early precast design. I will also talk about number 4. 2 and 3 other people will be talking about here today, but 1 and 4 I will go into detail with. So I have some examples here actually how to do number 1. Just an example, it can be done in many ways. So this first one is to show how you can fast model up your model. As you know, my skills is in Impact AutoCAD, so it will be Impact AutoCAD, but I will come back to that in Impact Revit we have some other advantages. It's more my skill that is not there. So let's see if we can start it up here. So what I'm showing here is a very easy model. It's like a combination of a manufacturing part and an office in the same building. So I start just to model up some walls, high walls here. I will do walls here all the time. And the height is, I put the height and I do a gable wall. As you see, it becomes red because we cannot produce it, but I know that. But first I just want to get up the rough model, because it's rough model. And here you have you're starting to see a structure here. So I take the other gable and I connect them together. The next step I will do is to split it up a little bit. So I split it in the vertical direction here to achieve the division between the office and the manufacturing part. And as you see, we get the end caps. But of course, that's maybe not the end caps we will have. It's just some rough ones now, because it should be considered to be rough. So this part I will now split into 2 floors here for the part where we have the office. I also split the gable walls here first. And I can split them also horizontal, as you can see, and also take care of the connections in the same way. So now we can continue here to make joints, connect the walls together. That's what I'm showing here. But that's not needed in the early stage maybe. But just to show how fast you can model up something. Yeah, that was the first example I wanted to show. And the next one is when you model with a combination of elevation and floor plan. So you can combine them together, and that's what I want to show here. So here we start on floor plan and make just big pieces of elements, almost the same example like before. I just make one wall in each direction, and then I connect them to elevation lines, as you will see here. So I connect all together here. And next step is that I now will generate an elevation. So I go to elevation, I create an elevation drawing actually. So now you can also see in this stage we can also get some volumes, some mass of concrete from the model viewer, and we can plan. Now I will just put them all out on an elevation to be able to continue to work here. So the thing I want to show here is that you have quite a lot of freedom to be in different places here when you make your early design. So now I split up. In this case I want to have 2 floors and a roof floor, so I will have 3 different floors. So that's why I do those help lines now to be able to split it up as I want it. So then I start to split it vertically just like before. I will start to split all of them. And the color, the cyan color is actually to tell me again, you cannot produce these walls, they are too big. But I know, but that's why it's that color. So, and then I will split them in the other direction. As you can see here. So now I split them with a joint. And so I get the first and second floor, and then I will split again to get the roof floor down. And then the last stage is that I will save them down to database. So I start, okay, I switch floor also, so they get on first, second and third floor, so the elements are on the right floor. And then I just click them out and say, please name them. When I have the names here, I will be able to plan. Because when I remove the rough elements that I did before, because they were just to transfer from model to floor plan. And now I just in AutoCAD generate in solid, wireframe, different. But this is the result I want. I want to get the element to Project Manager. And here I also show how I can connect walls also on elevation if I like to go to the next stage. So that was one more method, and of course I have one more where you work with different buildings. How can we do that in a fast and rapid way? So let's see here. We have 3 buildings, A, B and C. A and B is a mirror of each other, and C is just a rotation and move of A. So now I will do almost the same things again, rapidly model up the elements, split them up to elements again, and to individual elements. So, and you see the red color will of course remove as soon as we can produce the elements. And when I'm ready with the first building, I will mirror that one to the B building. Of course, it's demo, so it's dream. We have everything is mirrored and copy, but this can be done in small pieces also. I just want to show the possibilities here. So then we have the B. Of course, I have to edit the B once and tell that you are now on building B. So that's what I'm changing here. And then I save all elements to database, and we have A and B. Now I will copy A and B up. This is my second floor, so I do floor 2, 3 and 4. I know first floor is always different, but just to show you from second to third floor. So then I will continue with building C now then. So I will copy the building, and the location will of course be the same as A. So then I make a new floor plan, generate the C one, and just put them in the right position. So that's what I'm doing now. When I start generating them are in A location. So then I move them away and rotate them to get correct location. So you see I also rotate. So, and then I have to change, update them, and we are in the right location. Now I can copy this one also for floor 2, 3. And of course, now we have something we can plan on. As you notice, I haven't added any mirrors, doors. That of course you can also do, depending on what you think is rough for you. But this is to make planning easier. Okay, and then of course we go through the other stages 2 and 3 there of the planning. But when we end up in the 4th stage, we want to make use of what we did in the first. Don't have to restart everything again. And that's what I also want to talk a little bit about. You know one thing, I mean, everyone that works with impact knows that the connection is the element ID. The element mark we can change, but the ID we cannot. So the red thread throughout the system is the element ID. So as long as we make sure to keep that one, all the planning stays. To that element ID, we also connect a globally unique identifier, a GUID, that makes it possible for us to identify the element wherever it is. And of course, for future, this will be very useful. Mobile apps, wherever connecting to the element, we exactly know which element it is. Very useful for us. So how can we don't avoid cutting the thread then? We have different methods here to avoid it actually. We have 4 methods I've listed here. There are more. This is just some examples. What we want to achieve is, of course, to keep the same ID. I will just show them very roughly again to give you a fast view of it. So this is the situation where we have an element. We have multiple instances of the same element mark, and now we want to change one of them. So then I can directly here now save it as a different mark, keeping the ID. And then I can add, in this case, is an electrical key or MEP key I want to add. But with doing this one, I make sure that I keep the drawing that I made before. So I don't have to remake the drawing. So, and then I can just regenerate the drawing and the other stuff is there. So that is the save as method, one method we can use. We have replace, rename and copy shop drawing also. So let me show one more here. Let's see here. So this is then when we have, you know, building A and C was the same, like I said, just a rotation. So then I have in model A almost ready. So now I want to use the mark from A to C. So then I should run replace. So I actually say this location, this rotation, everything. Please give me that mark here instead. Because it's the same, it's just a rotation. So that's what I'm doing here, and then I get all the connections and everything. I don't have to redesign all those elements again because I've already done it once. So when you have, you know that 2 elements are not the same now, but they will be. Don't start to draw everything on the other one to achieve it the same. Just say replace, because you know it will be the same. So that can save a lot of time for design. I will take this one also. I think I will, and I don't have time to show them all 4, but this one is where you, actually this is a little bit tweaking one, but it can also, this is when you have a shop drawing already made for one element mark, and now you want to use that shop drawing for another element mark. So don't have to make a brand new shop drawing. So this is the one method how to do that then. So what you see, SW20 and 23 are almost the same. So I want to use the drawing that I already done for 20 for 22. So I just copy the shop drawing, call it 23 then, and then I open the shop drawing and the program will ask me which element am I? And then I will just tell you are SW23 and they are connected. And of course, then I have the drawing already made and I can just continue to work. So this is to be able to reuse things so you don't have to restart everything. Probably there are more ways of doing it. This was just some examples that I want to give you today. But of course, it's very important that design can reuse what they have done in the first rough stage when they come to design later on, to detail design. But of course, with Impact Revit, we have more possibilities here. We have the whole project in one file, so it makes it easier for people to do this stuff together. And hopefully we get a better start material, because if we can start in Revit and we get a Revit model to start with, instead of just 2D whatever we get in AutoCAD, we can of course maybe start by splitting direct, instead of starting to draw something. Maybe. That's future have to say, but I think we could achieve a lot with that. And of course, in Revit we can handle any product. So this is, of course, a huge advantage for these early stages. And of course, the end stage for design is to put them to ready for production. So that we should do with, we should achieve that with as ease as possible, of course. So that was my presentation. So please, questions. I think we have 5 minutes for questions now. Anyone having? Yeah? One question there. Or maybe not 5, because, but some questions we have time for. Otherwise, you have to go without microphone, Mika. Just ask. Yeah.
So we can split and slice hollow cores and slabs?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I can just say that we should do, of course. We should be able to do the same for slabs. We have been talking for a long time also to be able to reuse stuff you have drawn and take the stuff and bring to new elements. But again, yeah, I can just say yes to that one. We should, of course, do that. Again, we have better possibility in Revit, where we have the possibility to work in 2 different methods with the slabs, and maybe we can convert from one to another and then achieve this early where you can work with the whole slab, but having it split anyway. And then we can go to, what does it call, Leslie? Please help me. We are using parts, I think. Yeah. But there are other ways of doing it in Revit. So yes, we want to do that, of course, Stefan. Yeah. More questions? Okay. So thank you then, and we will switch presenter here. We will start in like 3-4 minutes. So yeah. Thank you.